We're
There
on.
is the magical thing up on the screen. It says you are live. It's always good to know that you're live, isn't it?
Alive.
Yeah, alive. Yes. So here we are back in Circle Leadership headquarters, or at least I am. Hence the beautiful backdrop and probably quality internet and everything else that will happen today. So firstly, Kia ora.
Really? Can you try a little bit harder?
Just to my New Zealand friends who may be watching.
Kia ora, bro.
Yeah,
Kia
that one.
ora.
Yeah,
What
that's
are
how we
you?
say it in Canada. Anyway, this week we are doing a double header, a live back-to-back. Why are we doing back-to-back live streams today, Lisa?
Because, Dave, there's this general rule of consensus that you don't work with kids or animals.
Or Dave.
And apparently, or Dave, and I was going to say, or Dave, or a humicorn. And we've been running the gauntlet on that for quite a few months now, and it caught up with us last strong. And that's perfectly fine.
Yes.
In fact, it was amazing.
However, yeah, so last week we had a few technical glitches when we were doing our live stream on performance leadership versus performance management. But the funny thing was, like we had a whole, let's call it a plethora of technical challenges throughout that whole live stream.
Can we call it a cluster? I love that word, cluster.
Yes, a cluster of technical problems that we had. Now, the funny thing is that we got so much feedback on that live stream, and people asking, can you do a replay? Can you, like, it was quite amazing. So we thought instead of, we jump on a bit early this week and we'll redo that live stream or as much of it as we can, and just go through all the key points for everybody who did miss out on it, so we could record it and get it up there for everyone, and hopefully do it this time without any technical difficulties, because we knew I'd be back in the studio. So there's no guarantee you might not have technical difficulties.
Yes, I know. I just realized, geez, I haven't got my computer plugged in again, but that's okay. I'm just looking around for PowerPoints. But before we get started, hi, Marcial, you're amazing as well. I just want to say, can we all just take a minute to appreciate the merch that Dave is just there going, let me talk about it. Let me wear it. When can I wear it? How cool is this? And for those of you who may not be detail oriented, like old ADHD Dumb and Dumber here, like the Circle Leadership on brand glasses to match the new merch. Can we all just take it? Golf clap. Loves a good golf clap. Not going to be getting any golf claps from golfing, so let's just give him one here with merch. It looks bloody excellent, Dave. I love it. Yes.
Who doesn't like a little bit of swag, right?
Yep.
Something we all get. If you didn't know what swag stood for, by the way, if you learned nothing else on this live stream, that swag means something we all get.
Oh.
So when you're giving away swag, giving away your merchandise, that's here's some swag. It's something we all get. It's like the Oprah. Here, you get a hoodie. You get a hoodie. You get a hoodie. Everyone gets a hoodie.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the thing with swag is if the meaning of that is if you look it up and there I am. I was going to be like, oh, really?
No, please. Thank you, Marcial. Yes, very much. The difference between Lisa and I is I make this look good.
Oh, son, come on now. You got to send me one.
Yes, I will definitely do that. Anyway, moving on. Let's go before we run into technical difficulties. Enough frivolity and fun as we always love to have. So, performance leadership versus performance management. What we're going to cover in this part of the live stream is we're going to look at the difference between performance management and performance leadership. We're going to talk about how to assess your team in terms of where they are, and then also how to support people who choose to leave your organization. Right?
That's so key.
Right, yeah. So we're going to look at those things. So the first thing is looking at the difference between performance leadership and performance management. Now, performance management, many people watching this or may have experienced this. There's two parts for these. Performance management as a process to manage performance is it's an old, what I believe is an old way of thinking about performance in an organization. And in most cases, what it does is it addresses the behavior of people. It doesn't address what drives behavior. So performance management, and it's all focused around results. You're not performing, you're not achieving the results we want, therefore you need to do something different to get those results. And if you do not do that, then we go on to proper performance management, which will put you on a performance management plan, which is a way of technically either data proving that you're not doing what you need to do so we can get you to leave the organization and fire you, or for you to feel that much threatened and pressure about your role that you'll do whatever it takes to work longer and harder to get the results that we want you to get.
I just need to be careful if I don't say it out loud. My face on this live stream is going to say it for me.
So a lot of us, like even in my past careers please don't hold this against me, but I was in banking and finance. To my banking and finance brothers and sisters out there, feel your pain. But there was performance management was always the thing, right? There's so much pressure to perform all the time. And that's because what most of the leaders were doing was managing by the numbers. Right? They're managing just by numbers on an Excel spreadsheet saying, here is the numbers, and you're not hitting the numbers. Therefore, you're not doing what you need to do. Start doing what you need to do to hit the numbers. And if you don't, like I said, you're going to go on performance management. And I've experienced this in my time in the banking where I was put on performance management because we were hitting the numbers.
Were people threatened?
Well, at one stage when I worked in the bank, we went from one of the worst performing branches to the best performing branch in the state of West Australia to number 4 in the country and 167% of plan. And my manager said that wasn't enough.
Okay, so I have a question as well. You've been put on performance management.
Yep.
Have you had to put people on performance management within that framework, and how did that feel for you as a leader?
I never put anybody on performance management.
Interesting.
I use performance leadership. It's just the way I've always led people.
And
I guess that's why this is such an important subject for me, because I remember another time, I'll share this really cool story. And there was a young fella, I was working at Bank West at the time here in West Australia. And I was running the call center, and we had this young fellow who got transferred over from another area. Now, he sat in front of me, and he was moved because of performance management. So what they would do in the banking days is if you didn't perform, they would just move you to somewhere else. And I was the 13th manager that he's now had in his span of ridiculously less than 10 years. So he just got moved around. And I said to this young fellow, we'll call him Bill. His name wasn't Bill, but we'll just call him Bill. And he sat at my desk and he said, I said, why do you think you're here, Bill? And he goes, Dave, I've worked for 13 of the biggest arseholes in this bank. Wow. And I know he'd worked for 12. And that means I was the 13th. and I just keep getting shuffled around. And it's because of the people that are there that are shuffling me around. And I said, well, let me assure you that I know most of the 12 other people that you're referring to, and they're not that way inclined. So there must be a common denominator here. And I just stared at him, and he obviously was referring to him, that he was the common denominator. And I said, but what we're going to do? Did he get that? Oh yeah, he didn't like it, but he got it. And I said, what we're doing? I'm not moving you anywhere. This is where you're going to be, and this is where you're going to learn how to perform. I'm going to help you do your best work here. Right? I'm not putting in performance management. I'm not shifting you. I'm not moving you. You've been through that process. It doesn't work. They just, so I'm going to help you become who you can become. And far as I was aware, when I moved back to Australia many, many years later, he was still in the bank doing extremely well. And
thank you for being that leader. And thank you for leading that. And that's why the work that we do in the world is so important, because in, again, a world where I'm from, we performance manage people up. We get rid of the problem by promoting them out of where we are, out of where they are, into something greater, so that they're not our challenge anymore. And then people that are there doing really good work, having a go, are like, what the heck? Oh, that was close. What the heck? But how often we like, WTF, I'm here grinding. I'm not getting selected on a team because I'm busy doing all of the shit show to get things sorted. Then this guy who's doing jack nothing is there getting promoted so that he's now not our problem. How does that even work? When is that okay? It's absolutely not. And that's why organizations lose good people. That's that whole ceiling that you talk about. If you're not evolving yourself as a leader, people hit there and they go. That was true for me as well. And I just want to say thank you for being that leader and leading this work in the world, because it's so important. Get off my high horse now. It makes me so mad. Anyway, still not okay.
Well, yeah, so like this is so performance management is usually a fear-based or it could be incentive-based. Could be incentive-based and sometimes, right? Hey, if you finally get off your arse and start doing the things, I'll give you this, dangle the carrot, whatever it might be, right? But the main gist with performance management, and you know when you're doing performance reviews and things like that, which you would have had done on you in the past, a lot of organizations only ever did 12-month reviews. Now, a lot of organizations have wised up. That's not a good practice. 12-month reviews suck because actually what you're only reviewing is the last 3 months. Because most people then pick up coming up for performance review time, I better pull my finger out and do some stuff. And they make sure you know all the good things that they've done and bits and pieces like that. And a lot of cases, performance management is looking backwards, saying, here's where we are and here's what's happened, going backwards. And so, as you know, one of my fun little clarisms is, performance management to me is like rubbing a dog's nose in a poop it did last week. It just doesn't understand. Yeah. All right. Because you're saying, hey, Lisa, remember 2 months ago when you did that thing and you didn't achieve that thing and this happened and that happened? That wasn't good. And like, what thing? Like I don't even remember. Right.
And it's breakfast, man, and it's only 9 o'clock.
Yeah. And you're going, well, why didn't you tell me then? Why didn't you deal with it right there and then? So in performance management, we tend to delay, and there can be a lot of surprises that show up. Right? When you do now a lot of people are doing it shorter. They're doing like quarterly things and stuff like that, which is great. And, if you're going to do performance management, then that's cool. But do it in very shorter terms. But here's the thing. So leadership's all about people, right? So leadership's all about helping other people become the best version of themselves so they can do life's best work while they're in your care and beyond. All right. That means that we lead people and we manage resources. The problem with performance management is we end up treating people like a resource. Right? And therefore, that's why we do performance management, because we're treating our people like a resource. They're a means to an end, an expendable commodity, and things like that. So when I looked at Bill, I didn't look at him as an expendable commodity. I didn't look at him as a resource for my team. I looked at him as a human being who was being shuffled from pillar to post, had no sense of belonging, no nothing like that. Very bad pattern for him in the organization, and I was going to stop that pattern.
Yes, bucks up with you.
Right? I love that pattern from happening. Right? And that's why I made it very clear to him that this is not going to be we're going to actually help you get out. There's no other place you can go in this organization until you've performed here. And I'm going to help you perform.
Because people have all of their own dreams, aspirations, desires. I was chatting to someone about the art and science behind what we do last night. And it's like, why am I leaving my friends and family behind to come and hang around the water cooler at work with you nuffies if I'm not seen as who I am first, as a person who actually has a family, who has hopes, dreams, aspirations, of desires as my own? See me in that, and I will turn up for you every day of the week because I'm called forth, not squeezed out.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the most important thing. So performance management is retrospective. It's looking back. It's right. Whereas performance leadership, so performance management is what I always call is the pushing down on things, right? And it's treating people like a resource. Whereas performance leadership, in our definition of leadership, of course, says I care about you as a human being first and employee second, right? So in context to that, performance leadership then is about how do I help you become the best version of yourself and do your life's best work, rather than actually managing the work you're doing. I'm leading you as a person to be capable, increasing, steady and progressive increase of your capabilities and your capacity for greatness to do greater work. So instead of actually managing the performance through the work that's done, lead the person to become the best version so they're capable of doing the work. And as I speak to business owners, leaders, all the time, that performance is what we ask from the person. Development is what we give to the person. So we're saying, hey, we'd like this new level of performance from you now, but I'm going to give you this in order to do that. And this whole thing is that performance leadership piece. And
it's that resources for people, not people as a resource piece comes into 100%. That as well. And if we want a flower to bloom, we're like, hey, plant, give us a flower. it's the environment that we help support so that they can show up and bloom.
Yeah, and we do the same process for our clients, right? So a lot of the work that you do is performance leadership. It's the weekly nudge. We just do a little bit of a nudge
Love you
every
guys.
week.
Oh God, she's back in our inbox. Hi, did you miss me?
We just give you a weekly nudge. Then we do a monthly coaching session, and then every quarter we sit down. But we've already every week we know things. Every month we've added the four weeks up, and then we nudge again, and we do another month, and we nudge again, and we do another month. So there's no surprises at any stage, and at every stage it's how we're helping you become the best version of yourself. So providing that coaching to level up a little bit more, then see how that progresses, then level up a bit more, then see how that progresses, then level up a bit more. And so this constant performance leadership. So at every stage, you as the individual, me as the leader, know exactly where both of us are. Because also through that performance leadership, I'm asking for feedback on my leadership. Hey, how am I doing?
Also, after every call, I think I ring you and be like, have any of the guys given any feedback? How can I show up and serve better next time? I know. I know. You should try living in the ocean of these thoughts.
So performance management versus performance leadership. So we want to create a culture that lifts everybody up. I'm also Oh, Levi, bless you.
We love you, Levi.
We're not going to let Levi derail us. He derailed me last week. He's not going to do it. You're not going to do it this week, Levi.
Oh, so it's Levi's fault. Right.
Yeah. No, I allowed myself to be derailed because I was in the throes of the man flu at that stage, and Levi was trying to outcompete me with his man flu. Anyway, so performance management is tending to be this, whereas performance leadership is more of this, right? We want to be lifting more people up, every single person lifting each other up. Weekly nudging, monthly coaching, so there's constant feedback going on in the organization, and there's no surprises. And it's about how do I help you become more, not how do I measure how much you've done. I mean, I'm not saying that you don't need to measure what people have done, but you have to go from leadership first. Right? Because when you lead the people, you don't need to manage the numbers.
Yeah. And when you've reverse engineered all of those things, you don't need, and you know what needs to be hit and what that looks like when your narrative matches your story. You don't need to be thinking or worrying about that or judging or managing those people through the lens of numbers. I hate being managed through the lens of a profit and loss sheet. In fact, you won't even get me because I won't even be there. So if you reverse engineer that, so all of that's sorted, that gives you the space to see people as people first. When all of that is sorted out because there's not taking up space in your brain, and that's where epic leadership gets to be a thing.
Yeah, and getting back to my commentary about being put on performance management way back in the day, when we were 167% of plan and all that, the reason why was because my sheet that I was measured on did not match the sheet that my boss was measured on. And his words to me, this is a true story, okay? And there's people who know me very well who were there when this happened. He said, but David, I expect you, he used the David, I expect you, look, I was the largest branch in a region of 9 branches, right? And I expect you to carry the rest of the region. And I said, at number 1 in the state, number 4 in the country, and my team are 167% of plan. I think we're already carrying as much as we can carry right now. You should be talking to 8 other bank managers. You're talking to the wrong one. Yeah, and then I went on performance management.
I'm not rendered speechless very often, but right now I'm just like...
Yeah, but that was it. But that was the thing. But because, and here's the kicker. This was his final line to me before he came up to put me on performance management. David, your job is to make me look good.
Oh! Firstly, David, shut up. You're not my real dad. And secondly, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Not okay.
That was the line he said to me. David, your job is to make me look good. Because when I look good, I can support you guys. Yeah. When I look good, our region gets a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm like, isn't your job to make me look good?
I dare you to say to me, hey, Lisa, your job is to make me look good.
No, my job is to raise you and lift you as high as possible so the world can see you.
You've seen me work out. You know that I'll flatten your ass if you say that.
No, I would never say that.
All right. Are we going to whiteboard?
Let's go to the whiteboard. I'm going to go through this willing and able matrix that we went through last time.
So willing. Last week, see, this is the difference. Oh, this is so perfect because the willing and able matrix, last strong, we were so willing. We were all in, we were willing, we were there, and we were not able because we had connectivity issues, we had battery issues, it was all sorts of tissues for all sorts of issues. But now Now we're willing
No.
and we're able. And watch this magic.
Yeah, let's not build it up too much. All right. So here's the thing. So in an organization, we've talked performance leadership, performance management, the difference between the two. When you're looking at your team, in your organization, your team, this is a really simple tool that's been around for decades. All right. So this is not something that's the skill and will matrix, or the willing. I call it the willing and able. That's the way I learned it. But it's pretty fundamental. I'm just going to put a little different spin on it, purely because there's a comment that just came in, and I think, Matthew, you do know exactly who I'm referring to. I told you there'd be people here who would know. Matthew was a bank manager at the time with me as well there. So here it is, the willing and able matrix.
It was Bill, wasn't it? We promoted him to the regional manager because it was such a challenge.
Yeah.
Sorry.
When you look at this matrix, and you have someone say who has very high ability, okay, but they're low in willingness. So they're really capable, but they're lacking a little bit of, what they need is some motivation. So you got to find out what their motive is. What would motivate this person, right? And when you find someone who's really highly willing but low in ability, well, what they're lacking is some skills or some learning. So they need training. Okay. Now, when you look at someone who's highly willing and highly able, we want to do what I call love the shit out of those people. Okay. Yeah. These are the ones that you need to constantly continue to help to evolve. Right. So when they're willing and able, love those people at the highest level and help them to continue to evolve. Now, these people here, once you've been able to do that, the idea is to move them from here to here, right? But then we have this one quadrant down here in the bottom left-hand corner. When they're not willing and they're not able, we need to do what I like to call recruit out.
I feel like that's like the cupboard under the stairs, that little box down there.
Covered under the stairs?
What do you mean by that? Well, it just was kind of there, out of the way. We want it to be a non-issue. Let's just put them in the cupboard under the stairs so they don't have to be our problem. But then suddenly that's where we put all of the things we don't want to think about, except Harry Potter was willing and able and the bomb diggity. There's a difference. And so then it's a little bit poignant, though, because it's like the Tupperware cupboard. It's like the third drawer, the cupboard under the stairs. Where are we putting the stuff, things, people, challenges that we don't want to deal with until at such point that we have a explosion, or quickly shut the Tupperware cupboard before all of the containers with no lids fall out? What if that doesn't have to be a challenge, and where does recruiting out actually mitigate that and get out ahead of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you think about this, the quadrant here, this recruiting out. Now, why would I call it recruiting out? A lot of people call it free up their future or fire them, or, I was always taught back in the days, people who aren't fired with enthusiasm will be.
Really? What the heck? Okay, so this is making a lot more sense to me, and why you are the way that you are now. You have had so much contrast in business that you're like, all of that shit, I'm doing the opposite over here. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Well, like 100%. Like, please also understand, like, I'm a firm believer, and anyone watching this says from a leadership point of view, I have worked with some of the best leaders in the world that nobody will ever know who they are, or very few people will know who they are. I've also worked with some of the worst leaders and or managers. I had one manager who, Pete, he was an awesome guy, great guy, loved him to death. But when it came to time for my performance review, we had to do this self-rating thing, and I rated myself based on factual numbers and everything like that, and the data and then behaviors. And I rated myself at a score at a 4, like a 3.1. And he scratched out and put 2. And Pete, what are you doing? He goes, well, 2 is satisfactory. Meets expectations. And I said, yeah, but I've exceeded all my targets. He goes, I expected you to.
Oh, wow.
So you met my expectations.
Holy moly.
So you're going to say that my performance and my bonus is now going to be stripped from me because I've exceeded expectations was what you expected from me. And now you're not going to allow me the rights to have a bonus for that. And I'm your number 1 performing bank manager in your region. Anyway, we'll push that aside. So when we talk about recruiting, like, this is what happens in organizations, and I'm sure it still happens today. It's a sad state for business.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So when you look in your organization, the first thing you want to do is take this, and you want to be able to plot where everybody in your business is. All right. Where is everyone in your business? Okay, I would take this matrix here, and then if you think that who needs more motivation, who needs more training, who's already willing and able, and then what can we do to continue to evolve those people there, and then who is sitting in this quadrant here. Okay, and if you got somebody sitting in this quadrant here, and you can't find a way to motivate them, you can't find a way to train them, or they're not willing to accept the training, they're not willing to accept anything else, and they're choosing that they don't want to be a part of this organization anymore, this is why I call it recruit out. Right? And please, if you're watching this or listening to this, remember this. You recruited them in. So, and from our definition of leadership is helping other people become the best version of themselves so they can do their life's best work while in your care and beyond. Right? That means I care about you as a human being first. And if I recruited you in, then I accept some level of responsibility to help recruit you out. And what does recruit out mean? So here's what it looks like. Because I care about you as a human being. So, and I think you asked me this, if I ever done putting one on performance management. No, but I've helped recruit a whole bunch of people out of an organization. One of the other organizations.
This is really key.
I used to lead in the past. We had an FT of about 12.5, so we had 13 people working there. And when I left, it was a FT of about 6. So we had half the number of people doing equal, if not more, the work than what the original 13 people were doing. And at no stage
did I identify what FTE is for the people that may
not.
Oh,
sorry, full-time equivalent. My apologies. Yes. Full-time equivalent when you're looking at your number of employees and hours and all that sort of things. HR jargon. I apologize. So we had 13 people, and we had 6 people in the end doing the same amount of work, if not more. Now, I never fired a single person through that whole process. I did make 2 roles redundant because I asked a team to find a new way to do things in the business and to automate and leverage some technology to free them up to do other things, and they chose not to do that. So then I made those roles redundant, and I found the solution myself.
And to that point earlier, and I'll let you come back to this, that's identifying resources for humans, not humans as a resource. I love it. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like I said, hey guys, I want to free you up. I want to take all the stuff that you're spending all day doing this on. Let's find somebody that can take care of that, so we can free you up to do some more value add stuff. And they chose not to because they thought they were, well, and I obviously knew where the idea of the solution would be, but I wanted them to find it. And they chose not to, so I found it, and then those roles no longer became required. So out of that, the point being, I only made 2 roles redundant, because you don't make people redundant, you make roles redundant. And then the rest of the people, I just help recruit them out. Okay, and then here's what recruiting out looks like. So let's take an example. Let's call this one person Adam. So Adam, here's the deal. You're obviously not happy here. You don't want to be here. That's very clear. And that, but I care about you as a human being. And obviously where we're going, the direction we're heading is not part of where you see yourself going anymore. The organization is continuing to evolve, and you don't want to be part of that. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. That's nothing wrong. No. It doesn't make these people bad human beings because they don't want to be part of your organization anymore.
Yes.
Right? It doesn't make you a bad human being because you don't want to be part of it anymore. But here's the deal, Adam, as an example. As long as you maintain this level of performance, if you perform at this level, maintain this level of performance while you're here, I will let you take any time you want to go to an interview, and I'll give you a great reference. Because you did great work while you were here. You just don't want to be part of where we're going now. That's fine. So I'll give you a great reference, and I'll give you time off to go to interviews if you maintain this level of performance. If you're honest with me and tell me that you have an interview. Because firstly, far better for me, because if what this person will do is they'll not tell us that they're looking for work elsewhere. They'll not do something. They'll chuck a sickie that will lose the whole day of productivity or performance from that individual just so they can go to a job interview. And I assure you, especially where I was at the time, that somebody was going to call me and say, hey, so-and-so's applied for a job here. They didn't put you down as a referee. What's going on?
How good are small towns?
But I was always very happy for that person. If you maintain this level of performance, I will gladly allow you time off for interviews, and I will give you a good reference because I care about you as a human being, and share with people the fact that, yeah, you did great work while you're here. It's just where we're going doesn't fit with your life plans and goals, but they're a great worker, they're a great person. But if you lie to me, or I find out that you've taken a sickie to do that, or your performance drops below that level of expectation, we're going to have a whole different conversation. So I'm giving this person the opportunity to be able to go find what it is they want to do for life. I want to support them in that process. I want to help recruit them out as much as I did when we recruited them in.
Okay, so I have a question.
Sure.
And this is where we had so much feed forward last strong. People like, Dave, what is that script? What did you say? What are those questions? So that's what we will do. We will do a little bit of a checklist and the type of questions and communications that you can apply in your own words, because as someone who's had to recruit people in and out of businesses in the past, it's not a fun time. We don't love having this conversation, but if there's a way that we can do that that empowers people and us, and we don't feel like a tub of shit at the end of the day because we're, taking food out of their kids' mouths, and how much better is that? But having this conversation, if you throw that out there, Dave, and you're like, sit with that, have a think, come back to me. Has that ever launched people into the motivation quadrant or up into the training quadrant going, you know what, I've just pulled my head out of my ass. Thank you for having that conversation with me.
Yep.
I've realized and reflected that I've got it really, really good here. I do want to be on board. These are some of the other things that have been going on in my life. If you're giving them a safe space to share, tell me about you, tell me about that, be vulnerable. What's squeezing you to have this level of thinking that's not conducive to what we know is going to be getting us towards the most amount of success? Has that ever successfully or unsuccessfully launched them into the training quadrant or over into the motive quadrant?
Absolutely, because after a period of time, if they maintain the performance, they just might find that it was themselves getting in their own way. They found some joy in the workplace. They found maybe it was that I wasn't demonstrating that I cared enough about them, and in that moment I did, and they go, "Oh crap! Actually, that they actually do care about me here."
And in the PT world, there's nothing more motivating than your own results. So if we just have a refresher, if we just have a new reset of parameters going, this is the mark you need to meet, and we have a vision and we can go for that, you get that. Oh, there's some momentum and some power and some motivation in that. I want more of that. Dopamine hits, back the truck up. So, and this is the thing, like a recruiting out conversation might not even end up in a recruiting out.
Yeah.
And how good's that? Because RNS is annoying and expensive.
Yeah, and you know what? I've had someone in the past, after they actually left, about 3 months later, come in and apologize for their performance and stuff in the organization and bring me a big gift basket.
Wow. See, yes. Yeah. Oh, make me cry.
Because actually, it was the best thing that ever happened to them.
Yeah.
All right? But when you care about people as human beings first and employees second, it can make a massive difference to that person's life. When they do recruit, even if they do leave, you're going to set them up to be able to get somewhere else where they're happy. Because sometimes some of us as individuals can't make that decision for ourselves because we're caught in the trappings of success. I'm so worried about it there. But if we can remove the barriers that stop that person from worrying about that and say, hey, here's a safe space for you to go and find what it is you want to do. And we're still going to get our minimum level of performance from you. And as long as you're not interrupting and all that sort of stuff, and disruptive in the team and anything, you're welcome to stay here until you can find what it is. And then once we know that, then we can start advertising for a replacement and find someone who would like to be part of where we're going. It's all possible, people, if you choose to do it properly.
While in our care and beyond.
And beyond.
And
that's
beyond.
Right. And that's why so the and beyond was added into that definition of leadership.
Yep. And at the end of the day, even if it's not about these people, if it's about you walking out the door and turning the lights off and flicking the switch at the end of the day or the end of the strong, and you going, I'm going to drop it, I was an epic fucking leader today, then,
beep.
That's just, anyway.
Yeah, but and certainly me as the leader, I would feel bad about having to let someone go and knowing they have all this sort of stuff. So I'm like, how can I serve this person best?
Yeah.
With empathy and deploy empathy towards them and stuff like that, and understand that doesn't make them a bad person because they don't want to be part of what we do. A lot of people's performance and things they become disruptive and all that is because they're lost. It's because they don't know where they want to be, and where they just don't want to be here. But then they're afraid to do anything. So remember we did the session about how your mind works and all that in the past. Yeah. And so they've got this subconscious sabotaging going on because they're unhappy.
And I'm conscious of time, but this is the other thing in the land where I'm coming from as well, is so often if we performance manage people out and we go, holy crap, it's actually going to do the business or the organization more harm than good, them staying around. I'm going to pay them out their full pay so that they bugger off and not be a cancer and not, gossip and be toxic in the business and do more harm than good to my culture that's already hanging on by a thread by virtue of them probably being here for way too long. This doesn't have to be a thing. How good is it that you don't have to ask people to leave because you're worried about what they're going to say and what damage they're going to do, what bomb, what grenade they're going to, on the way out? How can they bitch about that? And the type of people that they're going to complain, Dave and Lisa are helping me get out of here. They don't want me here anymore, but they're going to keep paying me and I feel welcome and I'm all of the things. And I just have really? Tupac talks about, before I worry about what people say about me, ask myself why I give a flying truck. It's like, this is so true. Why do we care about what they're saying if we can set them up in a way that they're not going to say it? And if they do, it doesn't matter because there's nothing to say, because we've acted in integrity, we've honored them, we've seen them, and we've shown up in the truth of that epic effing leader that I just talked about. And it becomes about us, and we can stand steadfast on the knowing that our organization and our leadership is forming that really solid foundation for the rest of our people to be their best version of themselves and do their life's best work while in our care and beyond for that beautiful person who's a special gift, no matter how it's wrapped.
That's right. 100%. And here's the cool thing. If I'm so worried about what you think about me, then I'm not worrying about you. And I care about you. So if I'm more worried about what you're thinking about me through this process, then I'm thinking about myself and I'm not thinking about you. So it's about caring for other people, right? So I care more about, and you're going to feel whatever you're going to feel. I can't change that. All I can do is hope to influence it, create a great environment where it's safe and conducive for you to become the best version of yourself. And if that means it's somewhere else, then I need to give you the clear path and the safety and the the sense of safety that you can go after that thing.
It's meeting all of those 6 human needs in that transition period as well. It's, we're connecting with people so they feel loved and connected. We're giving them some certainty that they're okay during this already uncertain phase while they're moving things out. They have an opportunity to grow here or to grow themselves outside of here. They're significant. It's meeting all of those human needs along the way. And can you imagine a world, Dave, where your resident unicorn is sitting on the floor of your office crying because you care about them so much? That's why they're there. Not crocodile tears because they're trying to avoid being, held accountable, but because they're like, oh my God, I can't believe someone cares so much about me. This is absolutely amazing. I've never had this before. Imagine being that leader for someone. Okay, I need to stop talking because it's going to happen again. Anyway.
Okay. So let's a beautiful segue. Let's use it as a wonderful segue into our next topic. Which is leadership versus followership, right? And, not that I'm a big fan of the word followership, but as a concept, right? Because, our philosophy, of course, is to build leadership depth and strength, and that leadership, anyone can demonstrate leadership. That's an all-round thing, not a top-down thing. All right. So, but in this part of the live stream, one of the things we promised to talk about was that different leadership styles, and then what followership style you get, and then how to evolve yourself as a leader into the style that you think is most appropriate for yourself and your organization. And this is a really interesting thing, because I think leadership, as much as leadership has evolved, we've come such a long way in evolving as leaders, or leadership as a concept. We still have so far to go. It's kind of like the concept has moved here and we're sort of dragging this lag effect of everybody following through. And then there's some people still holding on to the old style where they're trying to grab hold of the new style, but they're afraid to let go. Right. And it's like I always say to people, when you're climbing a ladder, not necessarily like a corporate ladder, if I grab hold of this rung, the only way I can grab the next one up above is if I let go of the one below me and go, and then, right. But if I'm holding on, I'm just stuck. It's like monkey bars is the same thing, right? If you want,
I was just going to say the same thing. Yeah. You're not moving forward and you're not moving backwards. You're nowhere. Right. There's no momentum. Yeah. All right.
So that I see a lot of that happening right now. So leadership has evolved over time. And, the reason why I wrote Simplified 4 or 5 years ago now was, for me, most of what I felt that we called leadership in the world today was just modern management practices. You look at all the courses that get run, the courses and the program, the leadership, executive leadership programs that people go on. 80% of it is management theory, and only about 20% of it is to do with people. And as we've discussed in numerous times, that leadership's all about people. You lead people, you manage resources, and people are not a resource. So, leadership, we need to get back to the essence of what leadership's all about, which is people. So let's talk about the different leadership styles. Okay, so I'm actually going to go early to the whiteboard on this one. There we go. So here's a little chart I prepared earlier. So when you look at the evolution of leadership over the period of time, we've gone from what we would call command and control to rules and bureaucracy, training and development, to personal characters and shared values, to this other area on the outside, which I want to talk about. All right. The first thing is, when you think about command and control, when you're working in a command and control environment, basically what you're saying is that I'm the boss, so it's positional, right? And then what you're getting from people then, in this case, is obedience. I'm the boss, do as you're told. This is what command and control is. So command and control is the leadership style, is I'm the boss, do as you're told. Right? And this is, well, why, Daddy? Because Daddy said so. Now, the only thing we want to train obedience in is dogs. Right? So command and control is a very old style of leadership. Even the military in the chain of command and everything like that come in. Command and control is they're moving beyond just command and control. And when people don't, and will lead us into the next one, when people don't follow the rules in military terms, people can get hurt. So the next style, of course, is rules and bureaucracy. So this is when you're leading by process. Okay, and in this, you get compliance.
Oh, God, shoot me now.
Okay, so rules and bureaucracy is simply this. I don't make the rules. I just enjoy enforcing them. Hey, those are the rules. Okay, so you must comply.
This is making me twitch real bad. I've got PTSD in this space, for sure. I'm not taking away from anyone.
We go from I'm the boss, do as you're told, to, hey, these are the rules, follow the rules. I don't make the rules, I just enjoy enforcing them. But then we've evolved from that, one would hope, to what is now referred to as leadership through training and development, which is basically looking at people, right? I care about you as a person, or I'm willing to invest in you, let's put it that way. And because of that, you get a sense of commitment. There's a greater commitment from people. I'm willing to invest in you, and therefore you commit more to the organization because I'm going to help you, learn more and achieve more, right?
Tiana.
Yeah. Okay. So after that, then we've moved to this space where I think it's one of the best places we've been in a long time, which is where we show leadership through personal character and shared values. And that's where we're leading by principle. Through principles, right? Values are just the qualities or principles that are inherently worthwhile. And then through this, we get
Can you say that again, please?
Values, the definition of values from a dictionary point of view is the qualities or principles inherently worthwhile. Okay? So leadership through shared values is leading through principles, and that creates trust and empowerment, right? So this is the evolution of leadership. Now I'm going to leave the final area where I think we're moving into now, or where I certainly challenge us in the way I think that I lead. Whilst we're not saying we don't do those things, we spend a lot of time in this principles and shared value space here. Like we play in this space a lot, right? But I want you to look at yourselves as a leader now. And if you're anyone watching this or listening to this again, look at this and be brutally honest with yourself. And so where am I in this evolutionary chain, or this evolution of leadership, and this steady progressive increase of my capabilities as a leader? Where do I think I am right now?
Oh my God, I've just worked out why I'm so triggered.
Because you know where one of your leaders was? Or your previous manager?
Where I am.
Oh, you know where you are. Yeah. Okay. So understanding that, and I put this in our newsletter this week, that you get the followership, right, that your leadership style inspires. You get the followership that your leadership style inspires. Because most people go, oh, my people won't think for themselves. They only do what they're waiting to be told what to do all the time. Well, and you might think you're over here. Well, if they're waiting to do it, that means because you're leading by position. You want to know what leadership style you are? Look what kind of followership you have in your organization.
I'm like, hey, Dave, we're doing this. He's like, okay.
Right. Which is cool, which leads me to the last style here, which is where I think this is where I look at myself and go, well, where am I in that? I went through this exercise and I was preparing for this live and I go, well, the other day, and I'm like, where am I in this? And I'm like, well, I was either sort of like on the fringe out here somewhere. And I thought, well, no, here's where I am. What you just said there is, I think what we do really well as a team is we collaborate at the highest level. All of us in Circle Leadership work together so much so that no one gives a shit who gets the credit. We're all here for the greater good, right? Which collaboration, which is well above teamwork and working together. True collaboration is when logos and egos are off the table and no one gives a crap who gets the credit, right? I don't care who did it in our team, whatever, as long as we're doing something that adds value to our clients and we're making the world a better place while we're doing it, whether it was your idea, Tiana's idea, I don't care. But we collaborate. The followership, for want of a better word, in our organization is collaborative.
True followership in our organization is Tiana following us around, making sure we don't hurt ourselves.
yeah. That's what's
oh God, we love Tiana so much. Wow.
So the actual what we're leading through is potential. I look at you guys know this. I look at all of us in our team, and especially you two, because I obviously look at myself as well. The thing, this infinite capacity for greatness.
Yeah,
I see this infinite capacity for greatness in both of you, and other people who support us, right? And so for me, my leadership style is belief in the human potential. I believe in people, right? And the followership we get is this collaborative, where people want to bring their best self to work. They want to be able to do their life's best work. We all want to work together. No one gives a crap about credit and egos and logos. And that's because I'm leading through coaching. That is the next evolution, which sounds really silly when I say it, because I think it's probably just what we should be doing anyway. But for me, virtually all I'm doing with our team, and that is just coaching you guys to be the best version of yourselves, to do your life's best work while in my care and beyond, because I believe in your infinite capacity for greatness and your true potential. And so for me, the next leadership evolution was, and this is why I believe like this is the next thing. And, we talked about, how to become a coach, not a boss.
Yeah.
Because I want to get out of this whole thing and move into this space here.
And why that's the next
where I love it. Right? So for me, the next evolution of leadership is about becoming a coach, not a boss. And your leadership style should be based on the belief in the potential of your people, this latent talent ability that's laying dormant in your organization. This is why all the stuff, it was quite funny as I was going through this, it's all come to this one spot, Lisa, where we go, hey, get people involved in the work, involved in decisions about the work. People who feel exceptionally valued deliver exceptional value. All this but when you truly believe in the people in your organization and you lead based on potential, not on performance. And you want to talk about, performance leadership versus performance management. Well, performance leadership is all based on the potential for human beings. I was with a client yesterday and he said, "Oh, Dave, I'm not sure I'm moving at a rate that's fast enough for you guys." Mm-hmm. And I said to him, "Please understand, all I'm looking for is progress."
Yeah.
Because evolution is the steady, progressive increase of your capabilities and your capacity for greatness. I said, anytime I'm looking, if I was sharing him a story about when I had a golf lesson one time, and in the middle of my backswing, I'm up here, and the coach goes, "No, Dave," I was probably here, and he said, "I just want you to move here." I moved half an inch in where my hand position was, and it felt like I'd gone from here to here, right? And for me, my mind felt it moved this far, yet it was only about that much. And so when we're thinking about that, what may seem like something small for that other person, or what's small to you about that other person, like if I see you make a small shift, but to you it might be huge. But so long as those shifts are happening and you're making progress, that's what I care about, because I believe in your infinite potential that you have, this infinite capacity for greatness. And I lead based on potential of what I believe you're capable of. We do this with our clients. And you've heard me say this to you before, Lisa. It's like times where sometimes our client have to borrow our belief in their abilities and what they can create in this world. until we can help them to see more of it themselves. Because
I don't know
we
about, yeah.
believe in their potential.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know about you, Dave, but for me, sometimes when we work with our people, I go, gosh, the biggest gift that I feel like I could give you right now is to be able to see yourself through the lens of the way that I see you right now. Like, you
Yeah.
are so amazing. Just see that and hold that. But as we continue to see and hold that, then people get to step into that. I have a question about leadership style around your belief in people's potential. If someone has a lot of potential and they, because potential is great, but it's still unapplied. At what
Yep.
point do you lead based on someone's potential, but it's not being applied to the degree in which it needs to be, gets to be, is possible? When does that then need to be considered? Because do you keep people around because they've got massive potential that they're doing nothing with? Like, what's that about?
No, this is cool. So great question. So from this here, remember, like it's I have a belief in your potential, and my job is to coach you. And if you're making progress, and we're not worried about logos and egos and all that sort of stuff, and we're collaborating in terms of we're working together at the highest level to achieve the greater good. As long as you're making progress, that's awesome. But if you're choosing not to make progress in that environment, then it goes back to that whole willing and able matrix to say, well, hang on, is it lack of training? Is it motivation? Or do I need to say, hey, look, as much as I have a belief in your infinite capacity for greatness, and we're all this coaching, we're not making any progress.
What a great circle loop back around to that. That's so good.
Yeah.
And it's and I can definitely relate with our client from yesterday that you were speaking about. I know for me, and I relate to him again.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at myself in this space, and as head humicorn and leadership coach and being super vulnerable here, I'm like, I don't feel like I'm progressing fast enough. I don't feel like I'm doing this quick enough. We've been doing this for how long now? When does this actually get to stick and go forward and move quicker? And when do I get to be better? But it's just like when you go for a run, it doesn't get any easier. You just get better at it, and you can lean further in, further in, further in. And is it possible that even though you feel like that you're not progressing fast enough, is it because you're better at the stuff and so you're leaning into higher level things now that makes it feel like you're doing nothing? But if you compare yourself to what you were doing 6 months ago, like, yeah. Anyway, that was just a little
Yeah,
bit
but
of
a couple of weeks ago, we were on a live. Well, we were working with our clients in Canada, if you remember.
yeah.
And I had technical issues, and my computer died right in the middle of me working with them through their values.
Oh, yeah.
And by the time I could get my thing plugged back in and rebooted, and I came back on, what had happened, Lisa?
We clearly articulated one of their core values in 3 words.
Yeah, and who helped them with that? Because I didn't.
Look, I was there. It was a fun time. I had nowhere else to be on a Thursday evening.
Yeah. Right, but
yeah,
because
6
I have
months
the
ago,
belief
I couldn't
in
even.
Yeah, but and you and I have had these conversations. This is for anyone out there feeling the same way. Is you had to lean on my belief in you to realize your own belief in you. Because I do the same thing. Like I'm not immune from this because I do it for a living. I'm a human being too. Like I rely. Sometimes I like you and Tiana and other people in my life. It's just like sometimes I feel like, and it's your belief in me that I have to. Right, and I lean on your belief in me because sometimes I'm thinking, oh, and I'm like, look, these two amazing human beings believe in me and what we're doing, and and sometimes I have to lean and take some of that and borrow some of that, and then I go, yeah, you know what, they are right. I can see that. I see what they see now. And,
yeah,
right.
And that's the other really cool thing as well is just because we teach this stuff, it doesn't mean that we're immune for it. I heard a great quote the other day. It said, you can't escape your emotions by pretending like you don't have any. This is so true.
Yeah.
I was teaching the process for human behavior last night to an incredible woman in Perth, and I can't wait for her. She's about to go absolutely gangbusters. Shout out to Jen. And I'm like, I'm teaching the process for human behavior. I'm like, I teach this for a living. I teach and live and love this every single day. And yet I still sit and like, why am I doing this thing? Why am I still eating cake from pizza for breakfast on days where I'm like, I want to get leaner. I know I'm going to have this thing, because it's still, even though we teach it, we're not immune from it. It's so perfect. And that's where we get to stay relevant, because we're that relevancy piece that you'll hear us bang on about, because it's so important. Staying relevant in the hearts and minds of the people that we choose to serve. At the end of the day, we can talk about all of this stuff. We can go through all of these matrices. We can have all of these strategies and have all of this culture. But if it's not relevant, A, to the people in our organizations, and B, to the people who we're serving, what's the point? There is no point. So,
No.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, and thank you for sharing that. But so please understand, like, that's what I'm talking about, that whole leadership through potential. You get collaboration, and it's all based on coaching. Okay. This is the way forward, everybody. The last part of this live that we promised people would do is we would talk to them about how to evolve yourself. Now, we did a little bit of this before when we talked about, the evolution of business and stuff. But I just want to go back to that and just share this, because this is what we do. So if you look at your organization and you go, hey, in the next 3 years, we realize this is who we need to become. Okay. Oops. This is who we need to become in the next 3 years as an organization. Well, this leader here built this business here. So this organization, we have to go, well, what type of leader, who would you need to become then to lead this organization? And then we look at that and go, well, what's your steady progressive increase of your capabilities and your capacity for greatness as a leader as we go through 1 year, 2 year to 3 years to becoming the organization that you need to become, right? This is why we talk about, evolving yourself and your businesses to stay relevant, because you as this leader built this business. Now you're saying, I want this business. And you're going, well, hang on, this leader only built that business. So who do I need to become then in order to build that business? And what we do every year is we set ourselves a theme for every year.
It's been so powerful.
So when you want to think about your leadership style, what is your theme for this year? If you want to become, a better coach or lead through principles and stuff like that, what's your theme? One of our great love all our clients to death. One of the most enthusiastic is, young Corey, and his theme. I
knew you were going to say Corey.
Yeah, he's all into this. So his discipline, right? So when you think as they're expanding their organization, they've got new thing, and he's stepping up as a leader. He's got going from leading one office to leading 3 all across Australia, expansion. Like, it's so exciting for those guys.
Having his best year ever, getting gains, all the things.
Yeah. So theme then is, what is your theme, right? And looking at that, okay, so what's the next evolution of me? So what's my next theme for this year? And every year I've had a theme, and each theme is built on the previous one, right? And so we encourage you to. What's your
theme for this year, Dave?
Prolific. Yeah. Okay. And that's being like when we talk being successively productive, and these things is like being more productive than I've ever been anywhere in my life. It's just where I need to be for as an organization. And considering all the travel and stuff we'll be doing lately, my prolificness is being challenged, which is the whole point. When you ask for something, the universe gives you challenges, so you can rise to that thing.
And that was really beautiful as well, just on the theme, and then I'll let you roll into that. Sorry, Dave. But when you were suffering the world's worst man flu last strong, it's like when you have a theme like that, you can apply that to challenges to help lift you out of that. And so Dave was like, oh man flu. And I was like, your immune system is being prolific and successively productive in getting stronger right now. How good's that? And then suddenly, just for a second, you feel better about your man flu until you remember you've got man flu because you're a man and the world's ending. So, yeah.
Well, actually, what I had was Iron Man flu. Anyway.
Oh, stop. Wow.
So once you get your theme set, and whatever that theme is, and it's just it's an overarching theme. So if it's discipline, or one of mine was being steadfast. One of my very first one was being steadfast, like sticking with it, right? And just being steadfast in everything that I do. And then I would look at, your wheel of life, and you look at your finance, and you look at your relationships, and you look at your social, you look at your physical health, everything like that, all the different areas of life. You go, well, where am I in each of those things in terms of my theme, right? So you go, so like if I looked at from steadfast, am I being steadfast in my finance? Am I being steadfast in my relationships? Where am I in relation to my social, my health, my whatever it might be, and I can go, okay, that's where I am at the moment. And the beauty of it, as we've discussed in the past, once you put like, oh, I'm a 5 out of 10 here, that tells me you must know what a 10 looks like. Because
Yeah,
otherwise, how did you a 5 compared to what?
yeah.
And then I can start to see what the gap is in each of those areas. And then what I do is I start writing an affirmation for myself or a mantra, which I add up all these things in these different areas of my life. And it helps me to create something to write for myself about what steadfast look like in all areas of my life.
And the really
Right?
interesting thing about having a theme or committing to a way of being or vibration, we already are a 10 out of 10 of all of these things by
Yeah.
virtue of being perfect. But it's the conditioning, it's the bullshit that we have led to believe about ourselves that suggests that we don't feel like we are, that there's a gap we're missing and we need to get something outside of ourselves in order to fulfill something. But what happens is when you set a theme, is the universe has a little bit of a sense of humor. It shows you all of the areas where you're mucking yourself up, where you're not showing up like that, so that you can see it, you can identify it, and you're like, oh, I see that's where I'm, eating too much pizza for breakfast on a Wednesday. That's not being honoring to my health. And so now I can see that instead of judging myself for going, Lisa, that's not very honorable. I can go, oh, I get that. And now I get to step up with that. So sometimes when we set these intentions, when we set affirmations, when we set themes, and all of the opposite keeps happening, you're like, what the heck? This isn't what I asked for. It's because we already are whole. We already are all of these things. I'm on a little bit of an esoteric tangent here, but the universe shows us where we're getting in the way of ourselves in order versus experiencing the fullness of that. So yeah, just watch out for that. If the opposite to what you want is happening, that's actually excellent, because it's the universe going, here's where you're stuffing yourself up. Stop doing that and you'll be good. That's how it goes. It's great.
Okay, so there you go. So we talked about the leadership styles, the followership styles, and then also looking at how do you evolve yourself in as a leader then into that space. Okay, and I'll just touch this because Tiana raised a point that she says growth mindset. And please remember that a growth mindset is about how can I be more of what I already am for more people. An evolution mindset is how do I become more, and then be able to be more of that. Okay, so we're talking about an evolutionary mindset here. Is I need to constantly evolve and increase steadily and progressively increase my capabilities and my capacity for greatness. Okay, and then constantly, then there's the next year, how do I evolve to be more? So you can become the leader that has this business, because you will only have the business you want to have if you become the leader that you need to be. And this is why you're going to look at the leadership styles that we've shared with you. Where are you now? Where would you like to be? What is the theme? What is the one thing that you would need to work on, overarching theme, to move you to the next level? Is it discipline? Is it being steadfast? Is it being prolific? Is it honoring? Is it consolidating? Is it whatever it is that you need to do in your life to become the leader that you need to become? That's what you need to work on. And then look at what that would look like in all areas of your life. And then write the gaps. This is what I call write the gap. So what does the gap look like? And like, so if you were a 10, what would a 10 out of 10 look like if I was prolific? And that's what I have in my journal, which I go through every morning. Right? So there we go. Here's the exciting part of today, Lisa. We went through 2 live streams all in one without one technical error.
Oh my gosh, we're amazing. Look at us go.
So to all of you who tuned in for the first half, the second half, or the whole thing, once again, it's a privilege to have your time and attention. Hopefully with some tremendous value in here for you. If anyone has any questions about any of the stuff in there, drop your comments in the live stream. We'll get back to you on all those things. If you want a copy of the Willing and Able Matrix and the script that I use for that,
yes,
just hashtag Willing and Able, and I'll get that to you.
And that will change your life. If there's nothing else, if I have not been as excited about, literally, it's just going to be words on a page. I have not been as excited about you guys having access to some of the things that come out of that brain on the other side of the world as those sentences about how to recruit out of your business. Like, amazing. So good.
Yeah. So thank you. So yeah, please, we want to be here to serve. And thank you, Matthew. Yes. We got to catch up for a round of golf, by the way, Matthew. We keep talking about it, but anyway, we'll get the sticks out shortly. Thank you very much again, everyone's time and attention. Next week, I'm not going to share what the theme is for next week, because we've got a big session on tomorrow, which may change the theme for next week.
I'm excited.
So we have a big
about
team
tomorrow.
get together tomorrow. We're looking at our next 12 months as an organization, and that may change what we're going to present next week. So we'll keep that a secret for now.
I'm so excited about Next Strong. I'm so excited about tomorrow. I'm so excited about Next Strong for all of the reason which you'll get to see.
But the other exciting part, by the way, is that we will be doing that live from ABSH Technology Group's offices.
Are we? Yes. Exciting.
Yes, so Brendan Ashik and the team at ABSH, we'll be visiting with them, and we will be doing the live stream from their offices in Melbourne.
Oh, fancy tech. Yes.
So we're doing a live stream at the best IT mob in all of Australia next week in their offices. So if we have IT problems, well, at least we have support right there handy for us.
Mm-hmm.
No pressure on you now, Brendan.
No, you don't need any more of that, champ.
Okay, guys, take care.
Next week.
Thanks very much.
Bye.